Good morning, students. This is your teacher Neelam Elawat, and today we'll continue with the chapter that is chapter 2, biological classification. Dear students, so far we have talking about the Whittaker's classification, and we have talked about the two kingdoms, isn't it, students? The first kingdom was Monera, right? Second was Protista. Okay. So today we'll be starting with the third kingdom. Anybody who can guess what is the third kingdom? The third kingdom is fungi. Okay. The third kingdom is fungi. Okay, students? Now keep your books and notebooks ready so that we can start. Let's start, dear one. Fungi basically. Now coming to this fungi, you must have seen these spots on the bread, isn't it? This is what we commonly encounter in our daily life. Secondly, you must have seen the rotten fruits, isn't it? These are all examples of fungi. These basically, your fruits and your bread, they are showing you the presence of fungi, right? So these are the examples to which we are familiar with, isn't it? So these are because of the fungi. Okay, dear? So with the exception of yeast, all of them, they are multicellular and filamentous. Means fungi, they are made up of more than one cell. It is a multicellular, right? And as filamentous means it contains filaments, right? Thread-like structures referred to as filaments, right? These thread-like structures, they are referred to as hyphae. Okay, these are referred to as hyphae, and they do not contain any chlorophyll. Although it is appearing to be greenish in color, see on the bread, but it does not have any chlorophyll present. Okay, and this network of hyphae is called mycelium. What is the network of hyphae called? Mycelium, right? The network of hyphae is called mycelium. Okay, dear? Now some hyphae, they form the continuous tubes. Okay, they form the continuous tubes and they are filled with multinucleated or uninucleated structures. Okay, sometimes these hyphae, they form like continuous tubes. Okay, they form like continuous tubes and they are either uninucleated or multinucleated. Then in that case, this is called cenocytic hyphae. Then it is called cenocytic hyphae, right? And the cell wall in case of fungi is made up of a polysaccharide which is called chitin. It is composed of chitin, right? So what is the cell wall made up of? The cell wall is made up of chitin, and the fungi, it consists of thread-like structures. Those are called hyphae, and it does not contain any chlorophyll. So it cannot perform the process of photosynthesis. Okay. Now fungi basically is your heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means it cannot make its own food. Okay. So fungi cannot prepare their own food. They depend or they absorb the soluble organic matter from dead substrates. Suppose करिए कोई भी चीज़ है dead है, सड़ रही है, गल रही है, ठीक है? So fungi can easily grow on that dead matter. Okay, it can easily grow on the dead matter, and that is why the fungi are also called as saprophytes. Sapro means dead, phytes means plant eating. So the organisms, these are the organisms which eat the dead decaying matter, right? And some of them, they depend on other plants and animals, and that is why they are referred to as parasites. So they may be found, they are observed to be living on other plants and animals, so they are also parasitic in nature. Then some of the fungi, they are found in association with algae. So algae plus fungi will form the lichens. Okay, what are lichens? The association of fungi with algae is called lichens, and this association is called symbiosis. What is this association called? This is called symbiosis. Now when the fungi associates with algae, see, algae contains chlorophyll, isn't it? Algae contains chlorophyll. So algae will perform the process of photosynthesis while the fungi will supply the nutritive medium. Okay. So that is why this association is beneficial for both of them. right? Algae as well as fungi, both they derive benefit from this association, and this association is called symbiosis. The fungi is also observed in association with roots of higher plants, and when it is associated with the roots of higher plants, then we call it as mycorrhiza, right? Then we call it as mycorrhiza. Now the different modes of reproduction in case of fungi. Fungi may reproduce vegetatively, it may reproduce asexually, or it may reproduce sexually. In case of vegetatively, if the fungi is reproducing vegetatively, then the different methods can be employed. That is, first is fragmentation, second is fission, third is budding, right? These are the methods through which the fungi will reproduce. During asexual reproduction, it will form spores. The spores will be formed, and those spores, they are called conidia or the zoospores. So what are conidia? What are zoospores? They are the spores which are used for asexual reproduction in fungi. During sexual reproduction, it again forms spores, and such spores, they are called oospores, ascospores or basidiospores. Okay, so 3 different types of spores are to be observed in case of fungi during sexual reproduction. That is oospores, ascospores and basidiospores. Now these various spores that are formed, ठीक है, जो वेरियस स्पोर्स फॉर्म हो रहे हैं, ये एक पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर मौजूद होते हैं, एंड दैट स्ट्रक्चर इज कॉल्ड अ फ्रूटिंग बॉडीज, राइट? सो स्पोर्स दे आर प्रेजेंट इनसाइड अ फ्रूटिंग बॉडी. So fruiting body is nothing but it's a collection of spores. Okay, it is a collection of spores. And the sexual cycle in case of fungi, it involves 3 steps. First, there is a fusion of protoplasm. Okay, the cytoplasm will fuse, and this process is called plasmogamy. What is called? Plasmogamy. Second is the 2 nuclei will fuse, and this fusion is called karyogamy. Karyo means nucleoplasm. Karyo means nucleus and gamy means fusion. So it is the fusion of 2 nuclei. So first there is a fusion of protoplasm, which is called plasmogamy. Second is a fusion of nuclei, which is called karyogamy. And third, the meiosis will occur in the zygote. Okay, when the meiosis in the zygote, then there is a formation of spores. So in zygote, meiosis will occur and spores will be formed, and these spores, they will be present in special structures which are called the fruiting bodies. Okay, dear students. Now fungus, when it reproduces sexually, जब फंगस सेक्शुअली रिप्रोड्यूस करती है तो 2 पॉसिबिलिटीज़ होती हैं. फर्स्ट इज दैट द 2 hyphae will combine and form, the 2 hyphae from different individuals will come together and fuse. Okay, suppose this is a hyphae from one individual or from the male, hyphae from the female. Both of them, they are haploid, means they contains N. Okay, they are haploid, and both of them, they will fuse to form a diploid structure which is 2N, right? So when fungus reproduces sexually, 2 hyphae, one is, you can say, coming from the you can say the male, another coming from the female, both will fuse and form a diploid structure, right, having double the number of chromosomes. Second case, in certain of fungi, there is an intervening dikaryotic stage is formed. Means the 2 nuclei, they are present in a single cell. So such a condition is called dikaryon. Means suppose this is your cell, so 2 nuclei are present. Okay, so this condition is called dikaryon. Di means 2, karyon means nucleus, and this phase is called dikaryophase. Okay, this phase is called dikaryophase. Now later on, these 2 nuclei, they will fuse and form a diploid structure. Okay, later on these 2 nuclei will fuse and form a diploid structure. Then this fungus will form a fruiting body, and the fruiting body will contain spores, and the spores will be haploid. Dear, clear? So the individual is haploid, but the spores that are formed, they will be haploid. Now based on the structure of the mycelium, right? Based on the structure of the mycelium, that is your thread-like structures, and the types of spore formation, Like in case of sexual reproduction, the spores that are formed are called zoospores, while in case of sexual reproduction, the spores that are formed are zoospores, ascospores or basidiospores. And the fruiting body. Based on these three structures, the fungi has been classified into 4 different types. First is Phycomycetes, right? Second is Basidiomycetes. Third is Duromycetes, and fourth is Ascomycetes. Okay, dear students? So, Deuteromycetes. Okay. Deuteromycetes. 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 Okay. So, Phycomycetes, Basidiomycetes, Deuteromycetes, and the Ascomycetes. So, dear students, we will take them one by one. Okay. The very first is Phycomycetes. Again, I'll just look at the diagram. You see such structures which are present on the bread. So, on the bread, the fungus which is present is referred to as it belongs to the Phycomycetes. Okay, it belongs to Phycomycetes. Generally, this type of lichen it is found in aquatic habitats or on decaying woods. लकड़ियाँ हैं जो सड़ रही हैं, पानी में है, कहीं भी जहाँ पर भी moist places हैं, damp spaces हैं. Okay, only at that particular space this particular fungi will be present. And some of them, they are obligate parasites. Obligate means definitely they will be parasites only. So mycelium is aseptate and it is cenocytic. Cenocytic, I just told you that the hyphae, they contain continuous tubes, and that is filled with either uninucleated or multinucleated cytoplasm. So we call it as cenocytic. Then it again reproduces asexually by zoospores, right? If they are motile. So zoospores, they are motile, and aplanospores which are non-motile. Okay? So spores are produced in the sporangium. So spores, they are present in a structure which is called the sporangium. Okay. Then they also produced by fusion of gametes, zygospores. Right? They also reproduce by formation of zygospore, which is formed by the fusion of 2 gametes. So we can call it as a sexual reproduction. Okay, dear students. Now these gametes, if they are similar, ठीक है, zygospores जो है अगर इनका साइज सेम है, then we call it as isogamous. Okay, if the size of the gametes is same, if the 2 gametes that are fusing, they are same, then we call it as isogamies. And if they are not same, there is difference in size, then we call them as oogamous. Okay, we call them as oogamous. Okay, so if the gametes are of same size, isogamous. If the gametes are of different size, oogamous. Okay, and the familiar example that I discussed here is the fungi present on the bread. So generally it is the rhizopus which is present on the bread, right? Is it clear, everyone? Okay. The second category is Ascomycetes. The Ascomycetes is generally called as the sac fungi. So these are the examples of sac fungi you can see. Right? These are all examples of sac fungi. So they are unicellular, for example, yeast, and they may be multicellular, as the example is penicillium. So we can say the Ascomycetes, they are both. They may be unicellular or they may be multicellular. Then they are saprophytic, means they feed on dead decaying matter. So they can act as decomposers. They may be parasitic also, right? And they may be coprophilous. Coprophilous means they grow on the dung. Dung means your cow dung. Okay, so they can grow. Coprophilous means they grow on dung or the cow dung, you can say. So they grow on the waste materials, right? Their mycelium is branched. Okay, the mycelium, you know, the continuous tube-like structures, they may be branched and they may be septate, means septa may be present. Okay, so asexual spores are called conidia, as we have discussed earlier. So asexual reproduction occurs by formation of conidia. right? And conidia later on forms the mycelium. Sexual reproduction is called ascospores. They reproduce sexually, and their sexual spores are called as the ascospores. Okay, dear students? And the fruiting body inside which ascospores are present is called a ascocarp. Okay, that is called a ascocarp. And the famous examples are Aspergillus and Neurospora. Okay, these two are the famous examples, Aspergillus and Neurospora. Basidiomycetes. Okay, Basidiomycetes. Common examples are like your mushroom. I think the mushroom is the most common example, isn't it? You must have seen, and you eat mushrooms also, right? Okay, so they grow on the soil, right? They grow on soil. They're also observed on the trees, tree trunks. Okay. So they will be mostly observed in the soil. They may be observed on the near the tree trunks. They are observed on the logs. लकड़ी के जो structures हैं, logs अगर कहीं कटे हुए पड़े हैं, like if the tree has been cut and the portion of the tree is lying here and there, then it will be growing in the logs also, right? And it is found in plant bodies also. It will act, it is a parasitic also, like rust and smut. See, this kind of structure you must have observed, isn't it? This is a structure which is it's shown to be the rust. Okay, clear? It is in case of wheat. And the mycelium which is present in here is branched and septate. It contains septa, and we know the common examples are ascaris, right? This is your rust fungus which is shown here. This is your rust fungus, which is also called Puccinia, right? This is also called Puccinia. Okay, so Basidiomycetes, right? Common examples are mushrooms, and they're generally found in the damp spaces, in the soil, near the tree trunks, in the decaying logs. The mycelium is branched, septa are present, and common examples are mushroom, and this we are showing as rust fungus. Okay. The last is Deuteromycetes. The Deuteromycetes is commonly called as fungi imperfecti. Okay, it is called as fungi imperfect. Okay, it is called fungi which is imperfect. ठीक है? Because why it is called imperfect? Because during sexual reproduction there is no perfect stage. Okay, so during its sexual reproduction, its perfect stage of reproduction is absent. Okay, clear? Right. The mycelium that it contains has septa and it is branched. So your Deuteromycetes, they are saprophytic, means they can be observed to be present on the dead and decaying matter. They are parasitic and they are decomposers. Okay, clear? So the example is Alternaria or Colitotrichum, right? These are the two famous examples. So here there is no perfect stage of sexual reproduction is present, and once if there is a perfect stage of sexual reproduction discovered, then they will not be kept in Deuteromycetes. They will be then moved to Basidiomycetes or Ascomycetes. Okay, clear everyone? Okay, so here sexual form of reproduction is not perfect, not clearly defined. Okay everyone? So let's come to your homework. First of all, you will make notes of the topic. Okay. Secondly, you will read the page numbers 22 and 24. Okay, dear students? Right. And I hope that you are focusing on your studies, because soon you will be near to your exams. And once we finish this chapter, we will start with our sample papers so that you can practice the sample papers. So in May, you will have your first term, you can say the periodic terms. Okay, we will have your first periodic term, right? That will be of 50 marks, and very soon I'll be posting your you can say the blueprint and the sample papers. So try to revise your chapters as many as you can. Okay, dear students, and I hope you will be waiting for your exams. Clear? And if there is any doubt, students, you please let me know. Please correspond with me. So finish your work as fast as you can. Okay, everyone? Okay, that's all from my side. Bye.